Good Thursday morning. Couple of baseball stories to get to. I feel like we have barely talked about the Mets and Yankees because everything else that was going on, but the Mets yesterday, just pathetic. And this is an I told you so I didn't want to say, I didn't want to be right about, but Max Scherzer yesterday was awful. He is Tom Glavine 2.0. He is so far a total and complete bust for this team. So far. Doesn't mean he can't turn it around. Doesn't mean the team can't turn it around. We have said before, it doesn't really matter what happens in the regular season as long as you get into the postseason and play well in the postseason. Look at the Philadelphia Phillies last year with their struggles and their ups and downs. That's a recent example of it. But right now, what we saw from Max Scherzer in the biggest moments last year, he was terrible. Beginning of this year, terrible. Suspended for sticky stuff. Coming back. Terrible against one of the league's worst teams. It is a major problem. And let me tell you, if Justin Verlander backs up that Scherzer performance with a stinker of his own today, that's going to really, really sting. Good morning, Boomer. How are you?
Yeah, good morning, G. I would just say this, that, Max said after the game that, this is what happens when you have a long layoff, and he was spraying the ball and all this other stuff. I tend to agree with you. I was thinking yesterday before this doubleheader started, all right, the Mets have kind of kept it above water. They've stayed relevant. They're still in second place in the National League East, and they're only 5 games out. And there's a long, long way to go, as we know. We'll keep saying that over and over and over again until we get to August. But here's the thing. He was so off yesterday and looked so bad that it is concerning, and it's concerning that you sign the guy and he gets suspended for 10 games. He gets hurt. He gets lit up, by the Braves and the Padres. You go back to last year. This has been an unmitigated. I won't say disaster. I guess I have to say disaster. It's been very, very deflating, I should say. And the other thing too, I would just say, this is a guy that's going to be a bona fide first ballot Hall of Famer. He's got all these, Cy Youngs and everything else. And it goes to show you got to be careful about what you're spending your money on. And I know that this is May. I hope I'm not saying the same thing come August. I really do.
Yeah, we had Ron Darling on right before opening day, and I asked him, should we be concerned about Max Scherzer? He said that's the one guy that you wouldn't be concerned about because of how hard he works and the bulldog mentality and all of these things. But maybe he just doesn't have it anymore. At some point, these guys stop playing well. The only person that I ever saw not stop playing well was Tom Brady. He could have come back and played another year, but at some point, these guys fall off. And that could be what's happening right now. He could also figure it out, but what we've seen from him has been alarming. So I know on one hand that it only matters, getting to the playoffs, wild card division, none of it matters, and play well at that point. However, what are the Mets if Max Scherzer is not Max Scherzer that you paid for? And then, by the way, hopefully Justin Verlander turns out to be great for them. We'll get a first look at him, but that's not any sort of lock at this point. The guys spent the first month on the IL. So if those guys aren't great, if you aren't getting the greatness that you paid for, what are the Mets going to be? I mean, this team was built around those guys. So you're telling me you got 2 old guys at the top of the rotation and Kodai Senga, who's never gone through a Major League Baseball season? I mean, that's what you're going to roll out there in the playoffs or roll out there in the most important series down the stretch in the regular season? It's alarming. It really is. And I if I'm Steve Cohen, I'm livid. I'm livid about it because you're investing so much money. And I know it's his own fault and Billy Epler's fault for signing guys like this. But at the same time, the fact that it's worked out as poorly as it has to this point in the season has got to be infuriating for him.
Well, I mean, you're talking about, $43 million for Max Scherzer, right?
Yep.
$43.3 million for Max Scherzer. Kodai Senga is making $15 million. It's nothing. Let's see. They don't. Justin Verlander, $43.3 million. So, you're looking at $86.6 million for 2 guys,
which is more than several payrolls in Major League Baseball for their entire teams.
And the thing about it is that we haven't seen Verlander because of this whole armpit thing, but the Scherzer thing
Listen what you just said.
I know the whole armpit thing. The whole thing's an armpit right now.
It's unbelievable. We haven't seen Verlander because of the whole armpit thing, and you're not even making a joke. It's the truth.
I know, and I understand. Look, there's a long season, and the Yankees are going through it right now. They're trying to stay above .500 and try to stay relevant and just try to hang in there until your reinforcements come back. But Scherzer's supposed to be one of your reinforcements. Maybe he'll pitch better next time. But again, I told you, he was going to blame the long layoff. Oh. So whose fault is that?
You're right. Well, his. For
exactly.
Breaking the rules. And I don't want to hear any excuses at the end of this, especially when we just went through the suspension. And I know his teammates have supported him, and I know that Buck, I'm sure, privately has supported him more than publicly. But a lot of people are looking at him as a guy who was bending the rules, breaking the rules, and then came out when he didn't have the same advantage and was terrible in that first start, which is something that we talked about prior to yesterday that happened to Garrett Cole when they cracked down on the spider tack, and Garrett Cole was basically the poster boy for that. The next several starts that he had after that, he was terrible until he figured it out. So hopefully Max Scherzer figures it out like Garrett Cole did, but Garrett Cole is in his prime still. Max Scherzer is not. And the Met fans have been defending Max Scherzer when I brought this stuff up in the past, when I was crushing him for his start against the Padres and his start against the Braves, and then this season his early on struggles, and they're trying to defend him. He's going to be great, and Max was better than you said last year, and blah, blah. Why are you defending him?
And then
he's done nothing for this team.
Right. Don't forget that.
You're not a Tigers fan. You're not a Nationals fan. You're not a Dodgers fan where he was able to do some special things for those teams. He's really done nothing for the Mets. And I don't care about his history with these other teams. I care about what he does here.
You know what it reminds me of?
Patrick Kane.
Yes, thank you. I'm not over it yet.
I understand. I totally understand.
I told you what was going to happen last night. I told you that the Canes were going to score like 6 goals.
Kira Schmid turns back into the pumpkin.
Well, it says because of the Canes. The Rangers needed to do that, and they didn't do that. But I don't want to go down that road right now. I really don't. I'm just finally getting over it. But, this is what it reminds me of. And I want to just kind of warn Aaron Rodgers, this is what happens. These are the things I know he knows, and I think he's going to be better. But the thing is that, you come here, New York is known for signing guys late in their career, whether it be the Mets, the Knicks, the Rangers, the Yankees, whatever. And we've seen guys come through here left and right late in their careers and just completely crap the bed and get completely lit up by the fan base. It was kind of interesting, and I'll go back to hockey for just 1 second. So Gerard Gallant gave his end-of-season press conference yesterday, and he was defending himself. And I probably would defend myself if I had 2 100-point back-to-back seasons.
Mm-hmm.
But that's the point.
Yeah.
It's like, what have you done for us lately, and what is the latest taste in our mouth in regard to what we just witnessed?
Yeah, when it was a series where you're clearly out-coached, too. That's a big problem.
Yeah, I know. So I understand where Gerard's coming from, because I would want to defend my overall record. I would want to defend. Mm-hmm. Of course I would. I'd be like, wait a minute, it's not like, we got 80 points here.
Sure.
We've had one of the best teams in the last 2 years in the league. And of course, then he uses Boston as an example, and he uses the Avalanche as an example.
Yeah.
One team had the President's Trophy as the most points. They went out in the first round, and the defending Stanley Cup champions went out in the first round. But the point being, if you come here, you are going to go under the microscope. And this is what they talk about being in New York is all about.
Yeah, especially when the team has expectations, and we have so many teams with expectations right now. It's almost like we can't have everything going well at the same time. The Jets and Giants are really relevant. You expect the Jets to have a monster season. The Giants go to the divisional round. You have all the winter teams making it into the playoffs for the first time since 1994. All of these things that have gone on well. So it's almost like someone has to fall off. And right now it's the Mets and Yankees, and the Mets have massive expectations. The highest payroll in baseball by a lot. 101 wins last year that all the Mets fans want to hang their hat on when it means nothing when you get knocked out by the Padres in the first round. But they're very high expectations.
The amazing thing is that the Mets are paying 2 guys the most they've ever made in a season.
Yeah.
And they haven't really done anything for the Mets.
No, they have not. There was a couple of, Max Scherzer had a few, good starts last year.
Like
there was
Max
stretch
Scherzer
he was good.
Taking, Aaron Rodgers isn't taking what he nearly should be taking or could be taking.
Right.
These guys are taking the full max amount of money guaranteed.
Of course. Yeah. I mean, and Steve Cohen thought that, and Billy Epler thought that's the way you're going to be able to build this team, and that's how you're going to win is with these guys. And losing Jacob deGrom was something that Steve Cohen, I guess, was okay with because he went out and got Justin Verlander, and he really didn't go the extra mile for deGrom. And deGrom's back on the IL, and we were kind of sick of his stuff anyway because he didn't stay healthy.
More to be like short-term, flexible money spent as opposed to long-term, questionable money spent.
Sure, and I just now we haven't seen Verlander, and that's a problem. But I hope that he gives you another Cy Young-like effort because then I could start believing that this team has a shot because the Braves came back in a 101 season for the Mets, still won the division. And right now they're 5 games ahead of the Mets and look a hell of a lot better.
Yeah, but why can't that change?
I mean, it can.
Of course it can. I mean, I know you're frustrated this morning. We all are. You wake up after you're thinking, okay, we got a doubleheader here against the worst team in baseball. Maybe, we win these 2 games. Who knows, and even Max Scherzer said this before the start. Now that we're healthy and now that we're ready to roll and now that we got our guys back, well.
Yeah, I mean, it was a pathetic day. It really was. And if this team goes on some sort of run, maybe we'll look back at this and say, that was a low point for them and now they're playing a hell of a lot better. I have concerns when I'm projecting forward about how good this team can be. And I'm sure that Phillies fans were saying the same thing last year when they were firing Joe Girardi and the team got off to a terrible start and how good are they and all those things. So it can change over the course of a season. If they are built around these 2 guys being great, and Scherzer and Verlander. And right now, one guy is a rumor that we're finally going to see today, and the other guy is stunk. So who's stepping up? Is it Joey Lucchesi? Is it Tyler McGill? Is it Kodai Senga in his first year where he's never pitched this much? Is it David Peterson? Who's going to step up and pick up the slack if those 2 guys can't get it done?
Shohei Ohtani.
Yeah, if you get him at the trade deadline, we're going to have to trade away, every single prospect that you have in the system and probably guys off the major league roster as well. And then maybe not get a guarantee that he's going to sign. So I don't know. I mean, that's Steve Cohen's going to go all in on that. I think we know that, especially after what happened with Carlos Correa. But I don't know if that happens this season. I don't know if that happens at the trade deadline or it's an off-season thing. But, when you have, it's not like there's pipeline guys coming up, too, that are going to go and save the Mets at this point. I mean, the window is now. This is the time you have to win when you felt like you still had something left with Scherzer and Verlander. So if they turn it around and make the playoffs and are great and go on some sort of run and they're built for it, I would not be surprised. Of course, I would not be surprised. But after the way things ended last year and this start, it pisses me off. I got to be honest with you.
Of course, it's bad. Plus, they get swept in a doubleheader.
Yeah, by one of the worst teams in baseball in one of the dreariest, most uninspiring environments I've ever seen in pro sports. It was just what is going on? I mean, this team stinks. You're playing one of the worst teams in baseball. It's 48 degrees and raining. And I'm watching Joey Lucchesi get lit up and then Max Scherzer get lit up at night. It's this just sucks. It's not supposed to be like this, man. We're not supposed to worry about this stuff this early.
It is, it's May 4th.
Yeah, May the 4th be with you, Eddie.
Yes.
Did you wear it? Yes, he does. He's got a Star Wars shirt on.
100% he does.
Just want to make sure.
Yes.
Understands. And then, of course, today the special day for Eddie Schizzeri today. May the 4th be with you. Nanu, or whatever you do. All right. And then Brian Cashman yesterday, he, of course, comes out and blames the injuries for what's going on, which is something that I predicted and said I'm not going to take that excuse because...
Why? You have to, don't you?
No, I don't. I'll tell you why.
Okay.
You traded for Frankie Montas, who was already hurt. You brought in Carlos Rodon for a bunch of money, who's got a long injury history. You traded for Harrison Bader, who was hurt and didn't even come and contribute until later in the season. Now, he was great, but still. You kept Severino on this roster, who has always been hurt. Giancarlo Stanton, every single year, has 6 weeks, 2 months with some sort of soft tissue injury. And now we're supposed to be surprised that all these guys are hurt? I mean, you brought this MASH unit in, and everybody's hurt again. Yes. And so Aaron Judge is the only one, and I understand he's the biggest one, but he had a great season of staying healthy last year, but he's had his own injury history. But he's the only one where that was sort of flukish and that flop going into third base, and he ended up getting hurt. That's the only one I want to hear as an excuse. Everybody else, I mean, can't be surprised. You're the ones who assembled these guys, these unreliable guys. You're the guy who brought them in. So, and hopefully Harrison Bader's okay with that collision yesterday. But it's just like he's sitting well with this isn't the team we assembled. Yeah, of course it isn't. I mean, Josh Donaldson is another one. He shouldn't even be here. You can't tell me that's like Josh Donaldson being out is a problem for you.
You know, I feel like when you get on one of these rants and you're looking at me.
Yes.
I feel like you're yelling at me. I don't know why. I just feel that way. I feel like you're looking at me and you're screaming at me.
The only one that's here.
No, I mean, you got millions of people out there listening.
No, I understand, but you're the only one who's physically here.
Well, those two guys are here. Why don't you look at Al and Eddie when you're yelling
because you're the one who's going to respond. They're not going to respond. So
they're
I'm trying
on the other side of the glass.
I'm trying to have a the back and forth and look at you and engage. You know what I'm saying? You want me to just look straight forward or look down at the ground?
I mean, I thought you'd say something about my sweatshirt today, but you didn't say anything about my sweatshirt.
You're wearing a Bengals sweatshirt. Why would that surprise me?
It's an old school Bengals sweatshirt.
Does this mean that you got into the Ring of Honor?
No.
Oh.
What this means is that I'm going fishing today. This is a fishing
okay.
sweatshirt.
All right, good.
Does this not scream I'm going fishing today?
Yeah, I suppose so. Yeah.
I mean, you got your jersey on that we're wearing tonight for our flag football
Yeah, but
game.
I have a change of clothes, and I got my fishing jacket, and I actually packed my fishing boots so I don't get fish guts all over them.
Yeah, I got fishing boots too.
Yeah, so I got a whole change of clothes, but yeah, I'm wearing the jersey. So yeah, I thought
you were gonna say like, hey, well, that's a cool sweatshirt because it's a throwback sweatshirt.
Yeah, I didn't think much of it. I was not inspired at all by it.
This is like an old. I think this comes from when I played.
Really, all the way back then.
I think so.
Wow.
Maybe just after me. I don't know.
Man, oh man,
it's a really cool sweatshirt.
So you don't.
I don't remember this bee being around until I got there in the late 90s.
All right. So you're okay with getting striped bass slime on that sweatshirt? Is what you're telling me?
It's an old, comfy, like warm sweatshirt.
Right. You don't care if it stinks like fish.
And we're going to be seamen today.
We are going to be seamen today.
We're going to be out on the sea doing seamen stuff.
We are going to be. We're going to be doing semen stuff.
You got to put the bait on my hook.
Sure. I mean, it depends on what we're doing. If we're snagging bunker, I don't know if they're going to be trolling mojos out there. I don't know if we're going to be. I don't know if we're going to be jigging. So
we could be getting jiggy with it.
I don't know if there's going to be like legit bait. It's not like we're throwing worms on the hooks. It's going to be tackle more often than that. But yeah, I mean, I'm assuming that Doug Wells knows what he's doing. He's going to bring some other people along and know what they're doing too. Yeah,
there you go.
So I'm looking forward to it.
I'm ready to roll.
Good, that's great.
And that's why I wore this sweatshirt because just feel the sweatshirt.
Yeah, it's thick.
Right.
It's old. It's comfy.
Right.
Perfect.
It's a fishing sweatshirt.
Yeah, it's going to be nipply out there too today.
Nipply.
Definitely nipply out there. It's going to be not a lot of wind, but not a lot of sun. Low 50s. Once we get moving on that boat, it's not going to feel great.
Got a cabin on this boat?
I don't know. Actually, I know nothing about the boat.
Oh. I'm hoping I'll be going out on a dinghy.
No, I don't think so. I don't think it's a dinghy. I got to look back, see if you send me a picture back in the day of
this
this
his boat.
I think it is, because aren't we going to his house? I think we're going to his house. And
You're the one that's got this whole thing like on lockdown, not me.
Do I?
Right.
Yeah, I think he's got the boat docked in his backyard.
Oh, wow. He's got money.
Yeah, my money. All right, Boomer and Gio on the Fan and CBS Sports Network. Quick break. We'll get Jerry Recco in here in just a little bit.